back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my eyebrow routine. I've received so many requests for an eyebrow routine in the past and recently, so I finally gave in and I did that for you guys today. So this is pretty much just how I do my eyebrows. Your preference is totally fine, or how you ever learned is totally fine, because everyone is different. And I plan on actually doing different ways of filling in your eyebrows, because this is not the only way that I do fill in my eyebrows. This is a way that I fill in my eyebrows if I'm typically going more glam, if I'm doing more of a full face of makeup, if I'm gonna be applying on eyeshadow. So that's how I like to do my brows. But if it's like an everyday look where I'm not wearing anything on my lids and just want something really soft and on the go, I typically fill them in with a pencil, or I usually use eyebrow powder. Some tips and tricks that I wanted to go ahead and talk about before we get started into this look are just some things that I've learned over the years. Now, picking the right color for your brows. So typically, if your hair is a little bit more darker, like mine, I would say go about a shade or two lighter for your brows. You want to soften up your look. I mean, that is going to be your forefront of your face, so you want to make sure that you're really careful when you're picking an eyebrow color. So typically I would, for my hair, since it's more of like a brown black on top, I'm gonna go with something that's a dark brown or something a little bit softer. If you have more of a lighter hair color, if it's blonde or a little bit more of a lighter brown, I would suggest doing something very close to your hair color or a little bit deeper. So the lighter the hair color, you usually want to go with something really close to your hair color or a little bit deeper. The darker the hair color, you want to go with something a little bit lighter, and that's gonna really kind of just format the look of your face. So yeah, that's a really important tip that I learned. And usually if you have more of a fuller brow, I would usually suggest filling it in with a pencil or a powder, because you don't need to do a lot of work. Your brows are probably really beautiful, so don't go ham and crazy on them. I usually like to fill in more product onto the end of my brows because I don't have a lot of hair there, so that's where I'm going to go a little bit crazy. But when it comes into the inner corner of my brows in this area, I have more of a fuller brow, so I go a little bit softer with that. So my best suggestion for you is that you can always definitely watch a video like this, or you can go to a makeup counter as far as M.A.C or any of your favorite makeup brands and actually ask for help. Hey, you know, I want to do my brows, girl, can you hook me up? You know, I want to learn how to create the best brow for me. That would be my best advice for you to do, because you can learn so much actually being physically in front of someone and them teaching you the right tools for your brows. I don't think I have anything else to say besides that. I hope that was somewhat informative for you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below, because I might sound a little scatterbrained. And let me keep it real with you, 7 times out of 10, I am girl. I ain't even gonna lie. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get this video started. I hope this helps you a little bit, you know, with information as far as what you can learn and some tips and tricks for your brows. So yeah, please remember to comment down below if you have any questions, or if you want to talk to me. You guys know I love talking to you guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and it was informative to you. And remember, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe down below. OMG. What is going on here? I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and get started with this video. Bye. Oh my god, I look so crazy. Okay, so I'm going to start on my brows. This is my bare brow. I have nothing on them right now and I'm pretty barefaced, so I apologize if I'm scaring you a little bit, because right now me looking into the lens looks a little scary. Anyways, so this is pretty much just a routine of how I do my eyebrows. And I didn't want to film this specifically because so many people have done this type of video, but I've had so many requests and I've had people ask me like, hey, you know, I've asked you to do an eyebrow tutorial and you haven't done it yet. So I feel bad. So I'm gonna do that for you guys here today. I'll show you what I do for my brows and the type of products that I use on my brows as well. So first things first, I do not get my eyebrows waxed. I don't get them threaded. I do my eyebrows myself, and reason being because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have had this type of experience. I'm gonna back away a little bit because girl, the lens up in my face right now looking kind of cray cray. All right, so all right, Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the story. So basically what happened a long time ago, I had my eyebrows waxed, and I think it was this brow. Yeah, it was this brow. The lady waxed my eyebrow, and she ended up basically waxing off half of my brow. She tried to be slick with it too, which was really funny because she was like penciling it in. So when I got up and I looked in the mirror, I was like, oh, this is interesting because I'm pretty sure half of my brow is missing. I was very, very, very upset, girl, and I got a little hood, I ain't gonna lie, because girl, you cannot be messing with somebody's brows, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that you're trying to cover it up, no, 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 no. So she didn't charge me, and it basically took me a long time to regrow my brows, so I've been traumatized ever since, and I just do my own brows. So that's the story behind my brows. Not sure if you care, but just giving you a little back end. As you can see, this brow is a little bit more fuller than this one, but I just pretty much pluck them myself. What I typically do is, and now I'll go ahead and zoom back into my face. Just giving you fair warning, it might be a little crazy, a little scary, but it's gonna be okay. I promise you, we will survive. We will survive. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom. Oh my God. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. I have no concealer, by the way, too, so whew, I feel sorry for you guys. All right, so I typically use a spoolie, so it's something just like this, and this is really old. This one's actually from Crown Brushes, and it's bent. I don't know why. I've had it for a really long time, and I think I bought it for like $2. So I like to pretty much just brush out my hair and just make this area nice and smooth. And I did groom them a little bit, so typically what I will do is I will lift up any excess hair that is really, really long, so any of the sparse areas, and I will use just a little eyelash scissors, so something kind of like this. This is what I will use, and then I'll just trim the little areas. That's pretty much what I do. Very, very simple. And then I end up just kind of plucking the little areas that, you know, are going out. So I'm gonna go ahead and brush them out once again. And I just use a small pair of tweezers. My tweezers that I typically have, I can't find them, so I'm using these, and they're difficult to work with. And I just pluck any unwanted eyebrows hairs. Any unwanted eyebrow hairs off my eyebrows. So now for filling in my brows, I typically use the same products all the time. It rarely ever changes, and I stick between 2 different brow products. I always typically use a brow gel, which is the Anastasia pomade in the chocolate, or I use the M.A.C Fluidlne in DipBrow. So this is just a dark brown Fluidlne, and it's a brown color. So that's what it looks like. This is a eyeliner, but I like to use it for my brows, and I just pretty much stick with this product. There's a lot of different ways that I do my brows. Sometimes I'll fill it in with powder if I want a little bit of a softer look. If I'm really, really on the go, I tend to use a brow pencil, and I always stick with M.A.C's brow pencils. I never use the Anastasia Brow Wiz. I do want to try that, but I've never used them. But this is just kind of my go-to because it stays on my eyebrows all day. It doesn't move, and it has really, really great pigmentation for color payoff. So I always use a M.A.C brush, and it's just an angle brush like this, and it's either the 266 or the 263, which they are specifically made for eyeliners, but I like using these on my brow. And this is an old school one. I've had this for a really long time. I always use the top, the back of this, and this. So what I like to do is I grab some product onto the angled brush, and if I grab too much, I like to just go ahead and leave some of the excess right on the back here. And I always like to start pretty much right into the center, right in the middle of my lid. So this area right on the arch. That's where I like to start pretty much laying down any product. And reason being why is I never start in the inner part of my brow is because I like this area to be a little bit lighter. The stronger that you carve in that area, the more stronger and intense your brow is going to be, and you typically want that area to be a little bit more softer. So I like to make sure that if I'm going to have any areas that are going to be extremely carved out and intense, it's going to be this area right here, which is my arch. I'm just going to go ahead and start right here. So I'm just lining it out with the center of my eye, and I'm carving out the bottom first, I'm laying this part down first because this is pretty much just gonna go ahead and start off the shape of our brow. Okay, so there we go. So we carved out that area. This doesn't have to be perfect. You can always go back and fix it. So I really want to express that. When I used to teach people how to do brows when I was working at M.A.C, I always let them know that don't feel overwhelmed. It's something that I can totally understand, like a brow is a big thing, but don't feel overwhelmed because you can always go back and fix it. So just trust me, girl. Practice makes perfect. Now that I carved out the bottom of my brow, whatever axis is laid onto that brush, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the inner corner of my brow, or the inner portion. So just very light hand. So I'm pretty much just flicking this area. I'm not using a heavy hand. The only time I'm using a heavy hand is to pretty much carve out my brow. And when I'm getting into this area, I kind of just flick it because I don't want this part to be super intense. So that's what that's gonna look like. Do I look chola? I know I do, but it's okay, girl, because we gonna get there. So I'm gonna go back into my Fluidlne and I'm gonna grab some extra products on my brush. And now I'm going to start from the top part of my brow. So I'm just actually going to focus this onto the arch, so the end of this area. And I'm going to meet the end of where I left that tail. Just like that. Now whatever's left over onto my brush, I'm just going to flick this. And remember, we're going to go back and we're going to fade this out. So it might look like I'm applying a ton of product, which I kind of am, but we're gonna go ahead and fade this out with the spoolie. So it's gonna look just like that. I'm gonna go in with the spoolie and I'm going to brush out any excess product left onto my brow and brush it out. And this is pretty much also going to help fill in the areas as well, so you're not doing double the work. I don't know if that makes sense, but I am just filling in those little gaps. And I'm going to go back and retrace any areas where I feel it needs to be filled in. Now I'm not going to grab any extra product, just whatever's left over into my brush. I'm gonna go ahead and just flick some product into the inner portion of my brow and fill it in that way. So pretty much, if this makes sense, is the areas that I really want to fill in are my arch. So that's where I'm gonna be a little bit more heavy-handed. And when it comes into the inner part of my brow, I'm gonna use flicking motions because I don't want to over apply the product. So that's pretty much it, girl. So that is how I fill in my brows. So next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to perfect my brow. With that, I'm going to use a concealer. Now the one I always typically use is this Inglot concealer in the number 21. I've been using this for a really long time. So I really like this because it just really helps define, but I also like using this for a primer as well. So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. So I'm going to carve out my brow with this. So I'm just going to apply a little bit onto the back of my hand, and I'm almost out of this. Just like literally a tiny bit of product. So that's all I have that I'm going to use. So now that we added the concealer, I'm just going to use a flat synthetic brush. So something kind of like this. I like to use really flat synthetic brushes underneath my eyes because I'm playing with a cream product. And then I'm going to start from the arch of my brow and start carving out any imperfections. So even if you get your brow to, like if it's too thick or anything, you can always go with the concealer and thin out your brow as well. And that's pretty much it for my brows. I don't like to think about it too much. I kind of like to keep it as simple as possible. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this brow and I will be right back.